Are you an entrepreneur who struggles to make decisions? Maybe sometimes you make the commitment, but as you get closer and closer to that time, it's hard for you to execute and follow through because of uncertainty, or you get cold feet. Well, don't worry, it happens to all of us. And that's the purpose of today's video training. We're gonna help you to become a decisive entrepreneur in times of change. As adults, I think it's safe to say that most of us have accepted change to be a part of our everyday life. But as an entrepreneur, it's a little bit different. Change is amplified and accelerated due to the volatility of our professions as well as our unique role in the economy. I think it's safe to say that we all understand what change is inherently. But what about the fundamentals? What about the building blocks of change? Well, after a little bit of research, I found out that change is quite simple. It's the altering or modification of a scenario. And we as entrepreneurs have to do that every single day. So let's take a look at a few examples of how this affects us in our daily lives. A micro example might be the feeling of not having enough time in the day to complete critical tasks and projects. You know, this type of problem will prompt an idea for change. And maybe what change looks like is a work reallocation, maybe a work reprioritization, and in some cases, maybe even bringing on more help. A meso-level example of this might stem from one of the people groups in your business. Let's pick your clients, for example, and let's say a small segment of them are a little bit unhappy with your lack of speed on your customer support response times. This particular problem that you may hear over and over again may prompt the reason for change. So let's zoom out just a little bit and look at a bird's eye view of the macro level. What does that look like? Well, that could be a change of your business model. That could be a change of your company name and branding. That could be an entire overhaul, flipping your company upside down just to survive in the new landscape. It sounds dramatic, it sounds crazy, but a lot of us had to do that during, most recently, things like COVID-19. And these are the types of changes that keep entrepreneurs up at night. So here's the big problem. We as entrepreneurs do not have a reliable process, nor do we have a framework to test our decisions against. Now, if we have anything, we might draw up a comparison chart. You know, here's column A and here's column B. But here's the big issue with that. It doesn't truly illuminate the risk of change and decision making that you'll need to be successful. You know, decisions are very important. So instead of winging it or doing comparison charts or doing some old school stuff that everyone talks about, we really have to know if these decisions are going to work or not. Because oftentimes as entrepreneurs, we don't have the resources, and sometimes we can't recover from certain losses. So we need to spend the time to analyze things, but also still be lean and still be agile. So my recommendation here is a very simple but effective solution. We call it the Big 25. And it's a simple document that you or your team can create to fully flesh out and list all 25 reasons of why your decision will not work. So here are a few reasons why this simple yet effective approach can actually work for you and your business. Number one, stress testing. Normal comparison charts don't do us justice. Think about all the times in your life where you actually said something couldn't work to yourself or to a friend. How many reasons did you give? Probably one, maybe two, but you definitely didn't get 25. Why? Because it takes real effort and work. And when we start fleshing out 25 reasons why something wouldn't work, we really start seeing whether a decision can or cannot stand up to the pressure we're about to apply to it. Number two, feed your inner critic. Many of us are critical of ourselves and the external environments around us, but we don't get a chance to often vocalize that. I say run free on this because it's your idea and it's better to be critical of it now than it will be after you make the change. So run free with that. Number three, risk avoidance, right? Our goal is to be safe. And as humans, we're naturally built to be risk averse to change and to keep ourselves safe. So lean into that and ride that wave when you or your team are kind of thinking about this. Number four, ease of delegation. Your team doesn't have to be big, nor do they have to be that advanced to get this done on your behalf if you wanted to delegate it to them. Most of us, as I said in the point number 3 about risk avoidance, we want to stay away from risk. And guess what? If someone works for you or works with you, but you are the leader, oftentimes they're going to be worried about making a recommendation that puts you into a state of change, because if they're wrong, they feel like there's going to be some type of consequence and backlash that comes to them. So they're naturally going to spend way more time trying to figure out why it won't work than why it can, which is great for this exercise. And then number 5 is the empowerment of your team. If you really want to empower your team with real decision and real change, give them this task and let them run for 1 or 2 weeks and have them come back to you without interruption from you. I guarantee you will have a full report of all the things that might go wrong with this. And if you read it, and you're still okay, now you know this might be a decision for you to consider. Decision making is one of the most important and attractive skills that an entrepreneur can learn. But unfortunately, it's not really talked about in the greater entrepreneurial community. We hope that today's training on how to become a decisive entrepreneur in times of change has been impactful and helpful to you. Until next time, we'll see you soon.